This is Season 3, Episode 1 of the series about how to use a Boxwood lathe, or in fact any engine lathe or engineer's lathe. It was recorded in February 2020. This one is about installing a milling attachment. This is a unit that I bought from China, and it's quite small but useful for small jobs. This gives 3 degrees of freedom, or 3 directions of movement, for the milling tool to work on and simulate the kind of activity you can do on a mill. Of course, there's no replacement for a real mill. But I found it quite effective. I bought several end mills of different sizes to use, up to 10 millimeters, ranging from 2 to 10. So I got those also from China. The milling attachment, if I recall correctly, was about $167, and with extra charges came to over $200 US, but still a fairly reasonable price. I did run into some fairly significant problems actually with this device. With poor manufacturing, it had to be fixed in 3 different areas. If you'd like to see those 3 manufacturing problems, they occur at about 8 minutes into this video. I've been having trouble with my parting tools, so I'm going to address that in a later episode. And in the meantime, instead of using a parting tool here, I'm just turning away all the surplus material and making a cone. The compound slide was already set on 45 degrees for the actual spigot, so I was just a bit lazy and just cut it all away at 45 degrees, leaving a little cone behind. Now I'm loosening 2 grub screws which hold the compound slide in place. They allow you to alter the angle. Here I've got it set at 45 degrees. But now I'm actually loosening the screws until 3 threads are showing on each one, and that allows you to lift the whole compound slide out. And it has a spigot on it, just the same as the one I'm turning. Now that spigot is actually quite a firm fit and a little bit difficult to get in and out, and the new spigot should be pretty much as good. But I have to trim a little bit off it, and since I've taken it out of the chuck, I don't want to risk turning it with a turning tool. So I'm just going to file a tiny bit off until it fits. It might be a bit hard to see, but there are actually 2 points of measurement on the inverted cone spigot. There is the obvious one on the very tip of the cone, but there's also a little shoulder at the base of the cone, and both of these should fit neatly in that cylindrical hole in the cross slide in order to get a really firm fit. And I'm measuring it here with a digital vernier calipers, but I find they don't do as well as a micrometer. So out comes the box of micrometers and the 0 to 4 inch micrometer that came with the lathe. Very lucky I am to have this, I think. You can see you put in various bars to do 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or 3 to 4 inches, so you can set it up for different ranges. And this is a master slip gauge I'm using to make sure that it's calibrated correctly. Notice that you have to feel with the micrometer that it's got just the right amount of friction to be able to read it, but without over tightening. It's actually got a little ratchet at the top of the handle, which is like a torque wrench that determines how much tension is applied. Now that the very tip of the cone is the right diameter. I now need to make that little step at the base of the cone the same diameter. So I've just touched the tool against the tip area that has been measured and set the tool at that position, and then cut the step at the exact same position, so it should be the same diameter. Now I need to get the lathe back in action, so I'm putting the compound slide back on and doing those two grub screws that we took out before. Well, actually, we didn't take them right out, we just loosened them. Now the next stage in making this spigot is to drill a hole right through the middle of the spigot and tap it so that we can put a bolt through and bolt it onto the bottom of the milling attachment. This hole has to be tapped, and I like to do this in the lathe so that the thread comes out perfectly square, much better than trying to do it manually in the vise. So I'm getting the tap just started. I find this it takes too much force to operate the tap with the lathe itself, but I can get it started manually like this and then take it out and put it in the vise. Recall that when you're using a tap like this, you have to turn it a quarter of a turn of actually cutting it and turn it back a bit more than a quarter of a turn to break off the chips. You can actually look down inside the tap or die when you're cutting a thread and see this happening, and if you don't break the chips off, they tend to accumulate and tear off the thread and really damage it. Now I want the thread to be just the right length so it doesn't protrude out the bottom of the spigot and cause any damage inside. Now this is the actual milling attachment that we're making the spigot for, and although it seems to be fairly well machined in general, there are some really bad flaws in it. The little brass knobs on the handle, one of them wasn't threaded half at all, and I just had to re-tap it, re-thread it with a die. And this screw I'm working on here, it was extremely tight, and I thought it was because the thread hadn't been prepared properly in there either. It had only been half tapped. So I ran a tap through and it seemed to work alright, but then it jammed up again later, and much later I discovered that what was happening there is that there's another screw that goes vertically alongside this one, and the screw that's sticking is actually hitting the head of the cap on the other screw. So the two holes are drilled too close together. So I just had to take the other cap screw out, grind the cap down so it was a bit smaller, and that prevented it from fouling, and that seems to have fixed that problem eventually. The next problem I found was that the lead screw handle was extremely stiff in trying to operate the slide, and when I took it apart I found that the screw thread that this thing is mounted in was drilled and tapped at a very bad angle, and although I couldn't completely re-drill it and repair the problem properly, I was able to put a tap in the thread and put some loading on it sideways and loosen up the thread to the point where it was functional. That seems to have solved the problem, and it doesn't really matter with this thread whether it is a little bit loose. On assembly you can see the slide is quite loose and wobbling around, but it does have proper gib screws and gib plate and I'm tightening them up there with this Allen key, and that can make it quite firm. Don't seem to have any lock nuts on these gib screws, which would be a good idea. The Boxwood lathe does have the same type of gib plates, gib screws, and it has lock nuts on them. For those who aren't familiar with this, the slide is, as you can see here, on a dovetail, and on one side of the dovetail there's a metal plate. You can see a brass one, I think, in this one, which when you tighten up the gib screws, the plate is pushed up against the dovetail to make it firm. The way these are adjusted is to tighten the screw until it's just a little too much friction, and then back off just a tiny bit, and that should be about right. The next step is to drill a hole in the base of the milling attachment so that the spigot can be screwed on firmly onto the bottom of it. Once again, those grub screws can be loosened and the compound slide lifted out, ready to place the milling attachment in its place. This is a collection of end mills that I bought and a few slotting tools and things, and I've selected the largest one I've got, the 10mm tool. They're really sharp, these things, and you can see how we place it in the chuck and have the three axes of movement to allow us to do milling operations up, down, left and right. The next two projects are actually using this to make an indexing wheel and a parting tool holder to get around this problem I had with the parting tool not working well, and that did actually work out well with this new tool holder.
What I've decided to make here is a slight refinement for my milling attachment mount. It's got the spigot at the bottom, you recall, but it's relatively small in diameter, and when you place it in place of the compound slide, there's actually a gradation on the Boxwood A lathe for adjusting the angle of the compound slide, and this is too small to be able to use that angle. So I'm going to make a brass sleeve that clamps onto here with a couple of grub screws and has a mark on it which will allow us to read off degrees of rotation. So this can be, when we move this around, actually like so, we'll be able to read off how many degrees it's rotated and check whether it's on 0 degrees when we want to be square. So that could be quite useful, I think. So I'm turning a big chunk of 3-inch diameter brass bar, solid bar, which I managed to get from a scrap metal dealer in the United States. He had a 6-foot length of it as scrap metal, solid brass bar, and he cut me off 2 feet. And I bought it from him at $2.80 US a pound. I'm using this CRC cutting liquid. I'll pour it out into a little jar. This has got a silicon carbide tip as well on the boring bar, and we slip it in there, but we also need to rotate the tool by side, and it should be parallel with lathe at least roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect actually for this, because I'm not cutting a thread. Just it'll feed in straight and keep it in that 5/8 hole, and it'll cut its own hole on its way in, the way it's designed. It'll fit in the hole it cuts. and then I've got to scribe a mark on it too. To do this, I'm going to try and turn this tool around. Normally it goes this way. I'm going to try mounting it that way and scratching the surface with it to make a little line on the metal. See if that works.
Okay, it's cutting a little slot.
Now, there's that little line. You can see there. I'm not going to move the chuck because I want to make another line here. Compound slide, release it and turn it back to 0 degrees again.
Yeah, still lined up okay.
So here's the finished product, and I can use my dial gauge to set it up, make sure that it is in fact at right angles to the axis of the lathe. That can be done by loosening the spigot clamp and turning it around, adjusting it according to the dial gauge, and then tightening up the clamp on the spigot. But this index here can be moved around until it reads 0, and then it has grub screws in it which allow you to lock it in at that particular position. Then in future all you have to do is mount the thing and line up this line with 0, and you should be pretty close to accurate. And if you want to do a funny angle like 20 degrees, you can turn it around to whatever angle you want. So it's got actually 2 grub screws, one on each side of the index mark.